Okay, so now let's complete our discussion by talking about the intuitions and the implications. Remember that in the previous video, we made that conclusion or made that statement. When the competition is highly intensive, the manufacturer would choose decentralization. Let's do some discussions. So first, we can see the following. Even though the retailer is not stronger than the manufacturer, a manufacturer may want to do decentralization. Okay, the manufacturer may delegate the sales business to a guy who is not stronger than him. Okay, that means the manufacturer gives away the control of the retail price, and the retailer will do something that is out of the manufacturer's interest. Okay, but the manufacturer is want to do that. The manufacturer want to do that. So what is the incentive for the manufacturer to do that? That's the question we want to ask. Why is that possible? Okay, we observe that this happens when theta is high, which means the products are quite similar or the competition is quite intensive. Why do we say the competition is intensive? It's because when theta is high, the other player's price is going to affect my profit a lot, right? When theta is small, his price change has only a very limited impact on my demand. But when theta is high, the two products are just highly dependent. So we can interpret theta, the high theta, as an indicator of intense competition. So for this particular phenomenon, the paper says the following. Manufacturers in a duopoly are better off if they can shield themselves from the environment by inserting privately owned retailers and ultimately the retail market. So what does that mean? If I am a manufacturer, I can see the competition is so intense because theta is so high. So in that case, it's probably better for me to hide behind somebody instead of standing at the very frontier to compete head to head with the other guy. Okay, so let me say that again. The competition is very high. So if I go into that game directly to compete with someone else, because the competition is so intensive, so I can earn very few money or very little money. But if I choose to delegate the responsibility to some other guy and that guy to compete for me, then it's possible for me to earn more money. Okay, that's the intuition here. So you probably think that's reasonable because no one like intense competition. No one would like to participate in a game with high competition. Here, or below, I want to provide some more explanations from the perspective of efficiency. Let's see what's there. So, suppose the manufacturers really become earning more money by doing decentralization. That means the system profit must be even higher. Okay? This is because, let me draw a graph. Suppose this is manufacturer's profit under integration. If under decentralization, the manufacturer earns more, then because the retailer is also earning some profit, so the system profit must be even higher. Okay? So that means decentralization generates a higher channel profit or system profit. If you think about what happened in your previous lectures models, this seems to be impossible. This is saying decentralization is more efficient than integrated system. Why is that possible? Why is that possible? think of the following way. Suppose currently this is II. If this is II, then the two players are playing the merchant competition, and therefore the prices are too low. The prices are too low, and the price are just inefficient. If they change to DD, then each channel now has one additional layer, right? And that additional layer is going to drive up the price. And then the price will go back to be closer to the efficient level. And then that's going to make the system more efficient. Okay? The key here is that this is not a monopoly manufacturer. There are two manufacturers. So if there is no retailer at all, the two manufacturers are playing price competition. The price will be too low, lower than the efficient level. Okay? And then if it happens that there are retailers, then the prices will become higher, just like what we have observed in the supply chain pricing game or the channel pricing game. When there is one additional layer, the price will be going up. Okay, so that tells us why do we see this? Because the price can go back to become more efficient. The price will become closer to the efficient level. So that's why the total pie can become larger. The total pie can become larger. If the total pie can become larger, when the two manufacturers do decentralization, then even though the retailer is going to take away something, the manufacturer may still be better off. Okay? This is something that is very important when you want to explain the phenomenon here. Okay? Because decentralization can be more efficient in this case. The third explanation I want to give to you is about credibility. Think about the following thing. Under pure integration, the prices are too low, right? And the two manufacturers are actually trapped in a prisoner's dilemma. They know the prices are too low, and they also know that if they can collaborate and raise the price together, they are going to be win-win. But even though one of them make a promise to raise the price, that promise is non-credible, right? Because rationally they have an equilibrium price in mind. So if there is just a promise, then no one is able to really increase the price. And of course, they cannot sign a contract to increase the price together because that's antitrust. Okay, so if they really want to make each other increase the price, they need to do something that will force them to increase the price. How about that? The way they want to do, or the way to complete that, is to having one additional layer. Okay, suppose I now have an independent retailer or has a franchise store. Okay, if I insert one additional level, I observe it, my competitor also observe it, he will know that I will be forced to increase my price. Then that's a credible signal to provide incentives to my competitor. Okay, the competitor will receive the signal and understand that I am going to increase my price, and then he will be happy because he can also increase the price, and together these two guys can earn more money. Okay, of course this happens simultaneously. Okay, but this can help you understand why having one additional layer is helpful. Okay, the key is that this additional layer provides a credible signal to the other guy that I am going to increase my price because I have no choice. Okay, so that's the third explanation I want to give to you. There is one thing that I want to address more. Remember our second explanation It's about efficiency. I say merchant game price is too low, so adding layers we can drive the price become higher and go back to the efficient level. Okay, that has something hidden there. It's about integration is worse than decentralization. Okay, integration gives we manufacturers profit. Decentralization gives us manufacturers profit and retailers profit. Decentralization is more efficient. Why? Oh, last time I told you integration is always optimal because if everyone can integrate together and make decisions, that cannot be worse than decentralization. Okay? So what I just told you last week and what I just told you two minutes ago are somewhat contradictory, but actually they are not. Okay? Both of them are correct because the true fact is that complete integration is optimal. Okay? What we mentioned last week is that complete integration is optimal. What is complete integration here? If the four firms are all integrated, or we say if the two channels are integrated, then the system is optimal. So how to do that? If manufacturer 1 and manufacturer 2 collaborate and form one single channel, okay? If they cooperate to choose channel structures and retail prices, that's going to be the best they may do because the system is just a monopoly seller. Okay, the system is efficient in that case. But when complete integration is impossible, okay, if the two manufacturers just cannot integrate each other, then partial integration may be worse than no integration. This is what we mentioned two slices ago. Okay, partial integration may be worse than no integration. So there were manufacturer, retailer, customer. What we are saying here is that because the two manufacturers cannot integrate, okay, there is a wall there. They just cannot integrate. So if you partially integrate, then this system is not very good. Okay, this system is even worse than no integration. Okay, this system is even worse than no integration, and the four companies are making their own decisions. This has also been related to what we mentioned about credible signals, right? If we have this particular format of partial integration, then there is no way for you to send a signal to your competitor to say that you are going to increase the price. Then you two guys will be engaged in a prisoner's dilemma. Everyone is worse off. Okay? But if you let the retailer to make her own business, then you have that signal. Everyone is happy. So what we are saying here about partial integration may be worse than no integration is the so-called principle of the second best. Okay? Economists, they say this phenomenon or the principle as the principle of the second best. If you can control everything, do it. That's the best you may do. Okay? Control everything. But if you cannot control everything, then it may be better to control nothing. Or say it in another way. When you cannot control everything, controlling something or controlling all those you may control may not be the best. Okay? Sometimes you may want to leave some parts uncontrolled by yourself, just like this case. Okay? Think about this principle in your daily lives. When there are something that you cannot fully control, it's quite possible that you will choose not to control anything. Okay? that's not because you are lazy. That's because that's going to make the system more efficient. Try to think about this or Google this principle to see some more examples. Okay, so the model have told us a lot, but there are actually more. For example, when the manufacturer acts to maximize channel profits instead of his own profits, then DD will be an equilibrium whenever D is greater than 0.771. Okay, you can see the region under which DD is an equilibrium becomes larger. So that's reasonable because if you care about channel profits, then you add the retailer's part into the manufacturer's part. But for II is the same thing, right? II has no retailer. So the line of the curve of II is still there. But for DD it simply becomes higher. So DD dominates II, I should say DD dominates DI, will more likely to happen and the region becomes larger. So a manufacturer may want to do this when the manufacturer is kind, okay? Or when the manufacturer needs a retailer, or the following, when the manufacturer can extract all the profit through some coordinating contracts. Coordinating contracts will be the topics 2 weeks from now. Okay, this is some kind of contract that allows the manufacturer to take away everything in a decentralized channel. Anyway, here I just want to remind you or to do a preview and telling you that there may be some ways for the manufacturer to take away everything in a channel, in a decentralized channel. If the manufacturer is able to do that, the manufacturer will try to maximize channel profits, and then DD will be more likely to be an equilibrium. Okay, or as we mentioned, when the two manufacturers collude, and that means cooperate, they will always downward integrate because when this happens, they will always try to control everything. Then complete integration is optimal. Finally, you may have other game structures. Okay, it's very easy to think about some other kinds of game structures. For example, in ID, the timing may be different, or there are some other else in the paper you may want to take a look. But the authors can show under some very just under very limited assumptions, all those qualitative results will still be there. Okay, DD may be an equilibrium when competition is intense. Okay, now it's time to make some conclusions. We have identified a scenario for the manufacturer to delegate a retailer, okay, to do decentralization. A manufacturer may want to do so when the competition is intense. Vertical integration may then become suboptimal, and one reason for us to show it, or one reason to make that happen, is horizontal competition. If there is no horizontal competition, just like the channel pricing game, then vertical integration is always optimal. But when we have horizontal competition, then the principle of the second best tells us vertical integration may not be optimal. The model is exactly a combination of price competition and pricing in a supply chain or pricing in a channel. Okay. In game theory, some people call this kind of game as Stackelberg game. This is those games that there's a leader, there's a follower, or it's just a simple dynamic games. Okay. Anyway, you know price competition, you know pricing in a supply chain. Both are not so difficult, and both gives you just intuitive insights. But when you combine both of them to study a more restricted situation, to study a more general situation, you can see now we find something that is more interesting and something that is non-trivial, right? So that's why economic models are interesting, at least interesting to me. So finally, our mathematical results now generate managerial implications. Okay, manufacturers may want to hide from intense competition, or the manufacturer may want to drive the too inefficient price up to make it more efficient, or the manufacturers may want to incentivize the competitor to increase its price. Okay, to do so, the manufacturer inserts a level into its channel to send a signal to the other guy saying that I will increase my price. Okay, all of these are somewhat not so easy to be observed or to understand, right? They are really hidden inside the competition or interaction among all these players. With this model, we are able to really understand what will be the outcome, and then really understand something that we did not expect before we really solve the model. Okay, that's something I want to tell you here. Finally, and this is a typo. Principle of the second best sometimes give you some ideas about how much should you control. Okay, that's the end of the videos. In the lecture, we will discuss related issues and give you more direction to understand this result. Thank you.